Just. Okay. Playing a game called Dear Esther. Let's see how it goes. I think it's only an hour long. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it's not that long. Let's enable them. I don't think large. Just don't need large. Yeah. Okay. Let's begin. What? Oh, there's 4? No. Let's just do normal.
Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
It's good. I don't think I was supposed to go down. Okay. I think it's like a story, so I kind of gotta pay attention. Snap. Okay, let me see if there is any controls before I miss anything. Oh, here we go. Okay. Yes, yes, yeah. Zoom in. Okay, so it's just zoom in, nothing else. That's good. Okay. Don't want to miss nothing. It's in paint, primer, plus. Check out the bottom first. Coca-Cola.
There was once talk of a wind farm out here, away from the rage and the intolerance of the masses. The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbines to stand. They clearly never came here to experience the becalming for themselves. Personally, I would have supported it. Turbines would be a fitting contemporary refuge for a hermit. The revolution and the permanence. I have found the ship's manifest, crumpled and waterlogged under a stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
Okay. Let's go back. Windy.
A wonderful sight. The moon cresting the junction between the cliff path and the stone circle. It cast a shadow of the ridge across the beach, all the world as if you had signed your name in untidy handwriting. When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Infection? Is he sick?
I quote directly, a motley lot with little to recommend them. I have now spent 3 days in their company. That is, I fear, enough for any man not born amongst them. Despite their tedious inclination to quote scripture, they seem to me the most God-forsaken of all the inhabitants of the Outer Isles. Indeed, in this case, the very gravity of that term, forsaken by God, seems to find its very apex. It appears to me that Donnelly, too, found those who wander this shoreline to be adrift from any chance of redemption. Did he include himself in that, I wonder?
And going back down? I don't know if I could have gone up there.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I would leave you presents outside your retreat, in this interim space between cliff and beach. I would leave you loaves and fishes, but the fish stocks have been depleted and I've run out of bread. I would row you back to your homeland in a bottomless boat, but I fear we would both be driven mad by the chatter of the sea creatures.
Is this?
The vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that. It is all sick to death. The water is too polluted for the fish, the sky is too thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds. I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer. that we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and rib cage, with enough left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
Do, do, do. Imagine anyone living here. That's crazy. I'd go insane. Better have some internet. What would you even do for food? Fish? Have animals? Oh,
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my ordnance survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services, but although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
go this way. We can go around the ship.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk. There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
Right there. How many supplies?
It's only at night that this place makes any sluggish effort at life. You can see the buoy and the aerial. I've been taking to sleeping through the day in an attempt to resurrect myself. I can feel the last days drawing upon me. There's little point now in continuation. There must be something new to find here. Some nook or some cranny that offers a perspective worth clinging to. I've burnt my bridges. I've sunk my boats and watched them go to water. I think I did a wrong turn. No? It was the right way. This is like on top of it. I went on the one that was on the bottom. You said there must have been like a nook or cranny that I missed? The right way. I think that's it right there. Yeah. Okay. Let's check that out.
I didn't even see that. How do you see that? Like the mountain was blocking my view or something? It blended in like that. So I didn't think anything was behind it. There we go.
What charnel house lies at the foot of this abyss? How many dead shepherds could fill this hole?
I'll jump in.
I've begun my ascent on the windless slope of the western side. The setting sun was an inflamed eye squeezing shut against the light shone in by the doctors. My neck is aching through constantly craning my head up to track the light of the aerial. I must look downwards, follow the path under the island to a new beginning.
What the heck is this?
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either. Inventory. A trestle table we spread wallpaper on in our first home. A folding chair. I laughed at you for bringing camping in the lakes. I was uncomfortable later and you laughed then. This diary, the bed with the broken springs. Once asleep you have to remember not to dream. A change of clothes. Donnelly's book, stolen from Edinburgh Library on the way here. I will burn them all on the last morning and make an aerial of my own.
Someone was pregnant. It was an ultrasound. Shit over there. Had some kind of tools, some bloody tools. That's probably where they gave birth, which is weird. The fire. I don't know what that means. Oh snap. Saw them. There's like a person holding a lantern. So there is someone. Or something.
In a footnote, the editor comments that at this point, Donnelly was going insane as syphilis tore through his system like a drunk driver.
Damn.
He's not to be trusted. Many of his claims are unsubstantiated, and although he does paint a colourful picture, much of what he says may have been derived directly from his fever. But I've been here, and I know, as Donnelly did, that this place is always half imagined. Even the rocks and caves will shimmer and blur with the right eyes.
Keep an eye out for like a light. A little light.
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose.
Damn.
All around him, small flowers were reaching for the weak sun. The goats had adjusted happily to life without a shepherd and were grazing freely about the valley. Donnelly reports they hurled the body in fear and disgust down the shaft, but I cannot corroborate this story.
Seven months. Not even decomposing. Rotting away. Just frozen. Like a popsicle.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken.
Oh no.
It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
And who lit this candle? Oh, okay. Okay.
Did Jakobsen crawl this far? Can I identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Ooh, nice.
They'd stop the traffic back as far as the Sandford Junction and come up the hard shoulder like radio signals from another star. It took 21 minutes for them to arrive. I watched Paul time it to the second on his watch.
Then that makes like a good wallpaper. Wouldn't this be like slippery? Can they make it? Game is so pretty. It's really nice. I feel like playing Skyrim. It's funny. I think my dog heard this whistle. She's freaking out. Yeah, she went back to sleep. Okay. She got it once the whistle started going. She like lifted her head up. She's like, "What is that?" She laid back down. That was funny.
In my final dream, I sat at peace with Jakobsen and watched the moon over the Sandford Junction. Goats grazed on the hard shoulder, the world gone to weed and redemption. He showed me his fever scars, and I mine, between each shoulder the nascency of flight.
Going up.
When I was coming round from the operation, I remember the light they shone in my eyes to check for pupil contraction. It was like staring up at a moonlit sky from the bottom of a well. People moved at the summit, but I could not tell if you were one of them.
Drowning. I don't think I was supposed to go in. There we go. Friggin' got stuck. God damn. I finish this game, I'm gonna check and see if there's any wallpapers. Pretty nice. In the street? Was this the car accident? I think he mentioned it. Kind of drunk. Going down. Last chapter, I think. Let's go. Damn, I don't know which way to go. But it's pretty.
The moon over the Sanford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom. All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
That person? Oh, the car crash.
We shall begin to assemble our own version of the North Shore. We will scrawl in dead languages and electrical diagrams and hide them away for future theologians to muse and mumble over. We will send a letter to Esther Donnelly and demand her answer. We will mix the paint with ashes and tarmac and the glow from our infections. We will paint a moon over the Sanford Junction and blue lights falling like stars along the hard shoulder.
Thinking someone was pregnant and someone was drunk and crashed and killed the pregnant lady? I don't know. Huh. A little difficult to decipher. A shaman or something? Crap. Go ahead, go up there. Yep. It was a car crash.
There were chemical diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity. From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
Sudden. On a sudden, a light from heaven shone up around him, and he fell to the ground. There are boats. No. Going up.
When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they resuscitated him by hitting him in the chest with stones gathered by the roadside. He was lifeless for 21 minutes.
That's weird.
Certainly long enough for the oxygen levels in his brain to have decreased and caused hallucinations and delusions of transcendence. I'm running out of painkillers, and the moon has become almost unbearably bright.
Who is this?
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
No. And he was proceeding on his journey. To danger. Those will come near to danger. I got a message. Hold on. He was there.
If only Donnelly had
Drink.
experienced this,
Eat or drink.
he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island,
3
so he
days
became his syphilis,
without
retreating into the burning synapses, the
with-
stones, the infection.
out sight.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended, these wretched painkillers, this form inconstant. I will take flight, I will take flight.
It's like a bunker kind of thing. Military kind of bunker.
gull perched on a spent bonnet, sideways, whilst the sirens fell through the middle distance and the metal moaned in grief about us. I'm about this night in walking, old bread and gull bones, old Donnelly at the bar gripping his drink, old Esther walking with our children, old Paul as ever, old Paul. He shakes and he shivers and he turns off his lights alone.
Twin vapor trails in the air, white lines etched into these rocks. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an aerial, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
Imagine falling down from this height. It became a bird. Wow. I mean, I thought it looked really good. Um, the graphics were nice. Everything looked pretty. Everything looked like a screensaver. If you just stopped walking and just stared at something, and just looked like a big old screensaver you can have. It was nice. The Chinese room are what the heck? Okay. Special thanks to Ben Andrew. That's pretty cool. I think exit to Miami, yeah. Okay. What happens if you resume? Does it resume the credits? Oh, though. Okay. Well, that was nice. I knew it was gonna be a short hour game, so I picked it before I slept. Oh, there's achievements. There's more achievements that I did not unlock. What is this one? Walk 5,000 steps. Trigger all voiceover points. Uncover 4 urns. There were urns? I don't even know. Trigger all director's commentary. Plus 2 more. So I missed 6. That was pretty good, though. I liked it. To be in, remove to uninstall. And remove from next. The next game I'm playing is The Descendant. It's pretty cool. Alright, guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm guessing. Goodbye. Peace, peace.